Welcome back. It's been a week of political tension between the United States and South Africa. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced that he'll be skipping the G20 talks in South Africa, accusing the country of having an anti-American agenda. This comes after President Trump's remarks criticizing South Africa's land reform policies aimed at addressing the inequalities left by apartheid and his threats to cut U.S. aid. This morning, we are joined by civil rights activist Devin Barrington Ward from Atlanta in the United States to discuss these developments. A very good morning to you, Devin. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. I first of all want to start off with the news that just came in for us this morning, is that Donald Trump has now signed another executive order now in relation to the International Criminal Court because of what he calls the baseless and illegitimate warrants of arrest against the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as the former Defense Minister, Yoav. What do you make of this? What do you read into this?
Well, I believe that this decision is a direct retaliation to the case that South Africa made in front of the International Criminal Court about the behavior and the genocide that is taking place in Palestine under the leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet. And so I believe that, this decision is just a part of a broader set of decisions that this president is going to be making over the next few months and years into his presidency to retaliate against those who have taken a stand against genocide in the Middle East, who have taken a stand against the behavior that the Israeli government has engaged in the war in Gaza since the October 7th attacks of a few years ago. And so I think that, we should be taking Donald Trump at his word. But in fact, I also think that there is, many people here in the United States have been saying it's not President Trump, it's President Musk, it's President Elon Musk. And his role and influence that he has been exerting on, Donald Trump and his political priorities in the United States and across the world.
Yeah, and interesting that you make that correlation between the case that has been brought by South Africa against Israel at the ICJ. Yesterday, we had our State of the Nation address, which was delivered by the President. And in the State of the Nation address, the President actually makes reference to that decision to take the matter before the ICJ. I just quickly want you to listen into that and also get your take on our President once again saying that a committee will be established to go to various countries to go and explain South Africa's policy positions. Just take a listen.
South Africa continues to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine who have endured decades of illegal occupation and are now experiencing indescribable suffering. And South Africa has acted in accordance with its obligations under the Genocide Convention by instituting proceedings against Israel in the International Court of Justice. We are fully committed to the articles of the United Nations, including the principles that all members should settle their international disputes by peaceful means. We support the principle of respect of the territorial integrity and sovereignty of all states and peoples.
Yeah, and Devin, here for me, once again, it's an interesting one, what is taking place, also considering what's happening in the United States after that meeting that took place between Donald Trump as well as Benjamin Netanyahu, and speaking about, quote, taking over Gaza. And here we are speaking about land. The ICJ had expressed itself in its opinion, saying that Israel should withdraw from territories which are Palestinian territories that it has occupied, including Gaza.
Yeah, well, they not only, instructed via their ruling that Israel should evacuate from Gaza, but they, previously had also stated that the activities that Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel were engaging in, are engaging in up until the ceasefire, were genocidal activities. And so I'm not surprised that, President Trump has made this type of policy decision as it pertains to, being hostile to the international community, which is inclusive of South Africa, particularly those who have stood alongside, Palestinians and recognized the plight and the aggressive behavior of the Israeli government. Let's be clear. The fact of the matter is that the majority of the international community in the United Nations made it very clear that they were on the side of Palestinians, that they were on the side of the rule of law, that they were on the side of ensuring that we are not legitimizing genocidal activities. And the United States was one of the few countries who stood by Israel in the United Nations. And let's also, not play favorites. The fact of the matter is that the previous president, President Biden, also made statements that were hostile in nature as it pertains to, the International Criminal Court when they issued these arrest warrants, essentially dismissing them. And so it gave room for President Trump to take it even further.
Yeah. Again, on land expropriation or the Expropriation Act here in South Africa, and a bit earlier on, you mentioned people referring to Elon Musk as President Musk. Our presidency had a conversation with Elon Musk, and some people were saying, but why would you elevate Elon Musk to such a high-level status, considering that here you're not speaking president to president, as it should be taking place. But what's happening in the United States as well around Elon Musk? I saw that there were protest action that was taking place as well around the influence that Elon Musk has over the Trump administration.
Yeah, those of us are here in the United States are very concerned about the unchecked power it appears that Elon Musk has over the White House and the federal government. Domestically here, he has been appointed to a new agency, a Department of Efficiency that has essentially been going through the federal government and under the claim of trying to find waste. But what we have seen is that instead of targeting the major tax breaks that corporations receive here in the United States that are at the expense of middle-class families here, and other ways that we know that there has been rampant waste, he has targeted programs and government agencies that he believes will stand in his way of being able to acquire more wealth off of the backs of hardworking Americans and off of the backs of the international community. I agree. I was concerned when I saw that the president of your country was having a conversation with Elon Musk, further legitimizing his leadership, not just in the United States, but abroad. We should be isolating Elon Musk. The fact of the matter is that Elon Musk is engaging in some very shady business dealings, some very shady political activities, supporting far-right movements in Germany that are connected to neo-Nazi parties and neo-Nazi ideology. And so I too was concerned about the elevation of Elon Musk by the president of South Africa having this conversation, when in fact, while I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on South African law, I would believe that, Elon Musk is engaging in activity that would make him an enemy of you all's country. And the fact that, his decision, to, close the UN aid office and specifically talk about, how, those resources are being used and abused by mostly African leaders and trying to, again, continue this narrative that corruption is only synonymous with the developing world, when in fact, I can attest to you here in the United States, corruption is rampant. And so we don't need to look outside of our borders to see corruption. We can look right here in the United States. And so I'm concerned as to why, this country is allowing for Elon Musk to move in the ways that he's moving with federal resources. But I'm also concerned about how the international community is legitimizing Elon Musk and not isolating Elon Musk and condemning Elon Musk for the type of behavior that he is engaging in and the aggressive activity that he's engaging in his role in the U.S. government that I would believe would be against the interests of South Africans. And so My hope is that South Africans who are listening to this, who are disgusted by the behavior of Elon Musk and President Trump, will encourage their elected leaders to, have a more aggressive stance against this type of activity. Why are we legitimizing someone who is openly engaging in neo-Nazi sympathizing activity? Why?
Well, Devin, I'm so sorry. We've run out of time, but I quickly want to squeeze this in. Aren't you being unfair, though, on Elon Musk, considering what the Department of Government Efficiency have been able to uncover in the abuse of state resources as they speak of? One of the other issues that they raise, for instance, is when it comes to US aid, is the money that has been going to the Broadcasting Corporation of Britain, the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC. Why would money be going to the BBC, which in this particular case, we're speaking here about a majority white country?
Well, I think many of us have, brought up for years that there's need for reform as it pertains to foreign aid. But reforming foreign aid and taking a hatch saw to foreign aid is two different things. And so I think what Elon Musk and President Trump are trying to do is take advantage of some of the legitimate concerns that people have with the way that international AIDS programs have been run in the United States and abroad, but that doesn't mean that you throw the baby out with the bathwater. When in fact, many of these countries that rely on international aid from the United States are in that position because of the decisions that are made politically by the United States that oftentimes engage in economic sabotage, that oftentimes engage in countries in a way that is very hostile through sanctions and other hard and soft forms of diplomacy that oftentimes put these countries at a disadvantage and make them have to rely more on international aid. And so I would submit to you that the United States needs to really be reflective of why we are in a situation where we have to provide so much aid through countries throughout the world. And if we were being quite honest, it would be because of the ways that we have engaged in geopolitics in a way that is hostile and that also is reminiscent of a colonial past and colonial priorities.